All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to the Maverix Lifestyles Rogue Hangout. We've got Alicia Drew here, and we have Chris Brindamore, one of our regular panelists down there. And we're very, very excited today because we have a very special guest with us. And this particular lady is a very, very awesome, successful online entrepreneur and leader within our community and in the online marketing space. And we're very excited to have her with us today. And just before we get going, we want to make sure that if you're brand new, if this is your first time with us, please comment, leave any questions that you've got below this video, as we'd love to hear from you. Introduce yourself below. And for those of you that are with us each week, we want to thank you for sharing this time with you. And, you know, it's always our aim to bring you as much value as we possibly can each week with different topics and different special guests with us along on here on the Hangout. So with that being said, this awesome lady, you know, she is going to share with you guys today exactly how she went from ex-corporate robot mom to successful online entrepreneur. She's going to be sharing with you her story and exactly how she gained the confidence and, you know, to make the decision to actually step out and, you know, build herself a successful online business. So without further ado, let's bring out Miss Lynn Brown. It's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Alicia. I really appreciate you, you know, reaching out to me and inviting me on your Hangout. I have seen, you know, your notifications of your Hangouts, and typically Sundays are my family day. And but my husband knows. My husband's very supportive, so he's very supportive of, you know, my business, and he's at all the events with me and all that kind of thing. And so right now, him and my son bought a brand new motorcycle. They're off. They're out of the house, and they said, we're going to leave you alone. Awesome. So it was very, very nice that they did that. But thank you very much for inviting me. And I got to say that I can't even believe that it's just been a short 2.5 years since, you know, I came on board with Empower and since I made that decision. But, you know, it was our son way back when he was 3 or 4 years old that really opened my mind to the fact, what am I doing? You know, I had been in corporate America at that time for probably a good 20 years. And you know, in the real estate lending industry for almost 23 before I left. But at that time, it was like 13 years, something like that, that I had been there. And here, every morning, I would get up at the same time. I would make breakfast, get our son ready, take him to daycare, go to the bank. You know, maybe at lunch hour, I might sneak a peek, you know, at daycare because he was right nearby. And then make sure I left the bank at a certain time so I could go pick him up from daycare, and then to be sure that you know, I wasn't late for picking him up because I would get charged extra money, you know. But at any rate, one day when we were coming home, he's in the back seat, you know, just like a toddler should be, right, in his car seat, and we stopped at a light, and he said, as clear as a bell, Mom, when will we see Dad in the sun? And, you know, whenever I say that, I still get chills today, and it's because of the fact that my husband then was I was a manager for this bank, he was a manager for a restaurant, and he was working nights. So he would come home at 3 in the morning, I was getting up at 6 in the morning, and our son, we never saw him. Even on weekends, you know, my husband worked. We tried, you know, like I say, every Sunday to try to make it family day. And it just got worse and worse. So I found myself sitting at a desk, this really nice office, and all this great stuff that I thought I was doing, you know, ooh, I made it big in corporate America. Looking out the window and thinking, what am I doing? Is this really how life is supposed to be? I mean, do I have to live my life this way? And so it put something in my mind of, isn't there something else that I can do where I can be at home with our son? Isn't there, you know, a way that I can earn an extra income to do that? Because during that time, you know, a 2-income family was the norm. I mean, it was the absolute norm for everybody. You know, if you wanted to have at least a nice house and the car and all that kind of thing, you had to have 2 incomes. So at any rate, that started the things, you know, for me looking online. I started looking online, and I didn't really find anything at that time. I mean, this was, you know, even before 2000. We didn't have really social media or anything like that. So we had a lot of the, oh, I don't know what you would call them. I would call them spammers nowadays, but, and I fell victim to many things that, you know, oh yeah, you can stuff envelopes and, you know, make thousands of dollars and all this kind of stuff, or you can send out booklets and earn, you know, money and this kind of thing. And so at any rate, you know, year after year, we finally left Arizona, moved back to California. That's where I had my stint, 6 years as a corporate manager for this bank, for this real estate lending department. And we finally left. The bank was being sold anyway. It was perfect timing. And my husband and I decided, you know what, we have to raise our son a different way. We can't do this. We cannot do this. So that's when I decided to get into sales, the sales end of real estate lending. And then I became an independent contractor. So I kind of had a one leg up coming into Empower of what an independent contractor was or meant or that kind of thing. And basically you're self-employed. That's basically what it is. If you don't work, you don't get paid. If you don't, talk to people, make the transactions, you don't get paid. And when you convert over, when you transform over into that, it takes some time, as they call it, to build the pipeline. And I'm recognizing that in this industry here too, in the network marketing, direct sales, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, basically, that if you want to transform from that that employee mindset, that corporate robot, if you will, into an entrepreneur lifestyle, there's a transformation there that has to happen. So I made that transformation from the corporate robot routine, management, and all the stuff that went with it, to an independent contractor. That alleviated some of the time that I had to spend in the office. So while my son was at school, I could go to the office. As soon as he got out of school, and if he had baseball or whatever, I made a commitment, and I told, you know, the people that I was working for then, that's how it was going to be. So at any rate, fast forward, finally I started getting into social media because I wanted to build my leads and my business with the residential loans. And I decided to get on with LinkedIn. LinkedIn was very popular then. And boy, did that just take off. I couldn't believe it. LinkedIn was like the key to my success. And like within a year was my first, six-figure year. And then the year after that, it was almost double that. And then the year after that was like, another banner year. But by that time, I had gotten to the point of being on the phone for so long that I literally thought the phone was glued to my ear, because you have title companies, escrow companies, real estate agents, the client, of course. You have brokers, you have all kinds of people calling you constantly. So if we were on vacation, and I remember this one trip we took in Yosemite, and here's my son and my husband, and we're in front of this beautiful lodge, and they want to go in, and here's Mom on the phone. And my son came up to me and said, "Mom, off the phone." I said, I know, I just got to do this deal. Got to do this deal, always. Got to do this deal. And it made me realize that, you know what? I remember that little boy sitting in the back seat saying, "Mom, when were we going to see Dad and the sun?" Well, now he's saying, "Mom, when am I going to see you?" Right? So that was like just like another, smack in the face, right? And I started looking around for something I could do online, because network marketing started to become, more prevalent, and I was learning more and more about how social media, into marketing online and all this kind of thing. I developed my own product, because all the gurus were saying at the time you had to have your own product. Well, let me tell you about that. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of stress, and you know, it's good if you have a good idea. It's good if you have some support in that. Make a product, go for it, do it. You can do it, and you can reap all the profits, 100% profit, right? Because it's your product. But it is a lot of work. And the product that I developed was with my cousin, who was, it was a jewelry product. It was an inspirational charm, just a small little inspirational charm. And I started that because of my cousin in Michigan. He was a world-renowned jewelry artist. And he made his first $1 million when he was 28 years old with jewelry design. And then he lost it all. And then he started back again and so forth. But anyway, I talked to him about my little charms, and he goes, Lynn, you need to make those over in, you know, Thailand or wherever it was, or Bali. That's where he wanted to go, was Bali. And he'd been to Bali for 100 times. So he did. He went over to Bali to set things up for our little business. And unfortunately, he passed away 3 months later. So it was kind of like another awakening to the point of, what am I doing? Why is this so hard to make money when I know how to make money? You know, I know that it can be done. I'm seeing other people doing it. And so then that's when I started, again, searching out something that I didn't have to create all this. I didn't have to recreate the wheel. I was looking for a system. That's what I was looking for. And I can't remember who introduced it to me, but it was introduced to me in a Facebook message. And I don't look at everybody's Facebook messages. You know, most of it is just pitchy sales, you know, messages, right? You know, hey, you look like a good prospect. Looks like you're into network marketing or marketing. You know, why don't you take a look at this? I get them all the time, right? But for some reason, this one, I don't know why, but I clicked on it, and it was 11 o'clock at night, and I watched this video for 45 minutes. And then I went downstairs and I showed my husband. I said, oh my gosh, you know, Dan, I am going to get into this thing. And he goes, what? What are you talking about? And I've never been a part of network marketing. I never knew what it was, or, you know, what the industry was all about. And I said, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's got the whole system. He's got the products. He's got the system. You know, he's got everything here, the customer service, everything right here. And he goes, well, okay. And that night, I clicked the button, probably a button that's below this video, just like it, and I clicked the button, and I got in. And I bought all the products. And, you know, I never looked back. But then funny thing was, I got an email, you know, the next morning that said, well, you need to buy your tickets to the next event. And I'm like, okay. And the next event is San Diego, California, and it's happening next week. So I'm like, holy smacks, how am I going to do this? And tell my husband, you know, and have him, you know, be on board with this. So I devised a plan, but it wasn't like a sneaky plan or anything like that. I just said, I call him Den. His name is Dennis, and sometimes I call him Denny, okay, just so you guys know, because some people go, who's Den, you know? So anyway, I reread the email to make sure, okay, I was wondering, how can I make hotel arrangements? But they had, you know, hotel information on there, so I just made, you know, room reservations. And so then I told my husband, I said, hey, how would you like to go on vacation for the next 10 days? And he goes, well, where do you want to go? I said, let's go to San Diego. Luckily, we had friends down there. We had good friends down there. And he goes, okay, that sounds pretty cool. You know, and we had his sister take care of, you know, our son and all this kind of stuff. Lo and behold, we show up at the Empower Network event. And I just want to add this one thing before, you know, I stop talking. At that event, my husband was sitting there like, he was one of the guys like this, and I was like this. And the very first day that event went on, the first thing that happened, I got my first sale. $25. I'm like, holy, and I'm showing my husband, and here they're doing the commission countdown, right? And of course, I don't go up on stage, for $25, but at the end they say, okay, anybody that's made their first sale with Empower, stand up. And my husband's like, stand up, He was into it. And so I stood up, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh. We left that day, we were heading to the elevators, and we ran into David Wood and his bodyguard. Nobody else was around. It was the strangest thing. And I said, oh, David Wood, and I said, hi, I'm Lynn Brown. I just joined. I got all in, and I made my first sale today. He goes, wow, he talked to us for 10 minutes, but more so to my husband, because my husband asked him a question that I think David Wood was kind of taken back by, well, let me tell you something, And from that day, we could feel the heart, we could feel the passion, we could feel the vision. And that's all we talked about throughout the rest of the trip to San Diego and coming home is like, wow, I think this is real. This is for real. 6 weeks later, I had my first $3,000 day. And I know we're supposed to do a disclaimer and all that, right, Alicia?
Yes. We have an income disclosure at the bottom of this page for everybody. And our results are not typical or average. So anytime we speak of money, we want to share that with you. And you can also go to income.maverixlifestyles.com. But there is a link below at the bottom of the page. So.
Perfect. Because we have to say that. And you know what? Let me tell you something. Coming from corporate America, I also, because I was in the real estate lending industry, I was thrown into compliance as well when I worked for the bank. They said, let's let Lynn learn about this compliance thing. I know how important compliance is, and Empower Network's doing it the right way. So if you've ever doubted any kind of company, check their compliance. What do they do to be compliant in this industry, okay, for network marketing, direct sales? Because it's really important. It says something about the company. And that, number one, is such a huge factor when you are thinking about transforming from that, that employee mindset into an entrepreneur lifestyle. So that's how I transitioned. I later learned that I had to start building on me and my self-confidence, because I had confidence in the real estate lending industry, but I knew nothing about network marketing. So I felt like I was taking 2 or 10 steps back, really, and learning this whole thing all over again. And fortunately, after San Diego, I think it was Austin. Was that the next one?
Yeah.
Austin, Texas. Yeah, was the next one. And I was fortunate enough to be able to talk with Tracy Walker for 40 minutes. And she basically laid out to me, she said, Lynn, you're doing everything right, but you have to work on your mindset. You have to do that. So, like I said, this all has snowballed, and if you take the action, if you do what you're passionate about and be the person that you are, I'm finding more now about this storytelling and sharing your story and all this kind of thing, that it's really important to do that. Otherwise, people are not going to connect with you. So, but anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and you take it away, Alicia.
Yeah, I mean, wow. That's a really amazing, powerful story. Like, I got goosebumps while you were telling that story. Especially, it's interesting because that was actually going to be one of my questions today, as to how it felt and where were you when you earned your first commission. That was actually one of my questions that you just answered so well. And, I got goosebumps when you said that, because, we'll never forget where we were when we made our first commission. And the fact that you had just joined and you were at the event when it happened, as the commission countdown went on, I mean, there couldn't have been a more perfect time. That's just unbelievable, really. And I didn't really understand it. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't really understand what I was doing. And when I got back from that event, I had so many people contacting me because of my LinkedIn. I had, at that time, over 1,000 connections at that time. Now I have over 2,600, or maybe close to 3,000. But it was the people from LinkedIn
they just saw that I was, sharing, this information, and they were like, Lynn, tell me more. And then more and more and more, it just started to snowball.
Wow, yeah, that's really amazing. And I love with our commission countdowns that it's the people that are brand new, it's the people that have just made their first commission. That is the most important people in the room, and you feel that. They are the most important people in the room because they've just made a decision to literally change their life, and you will never forget that first sale. I mean, you can ask any, million-dollar earner, any leader in the industry, they've earned millions of dollars, but they will never forget that first sale that they made. That's the most important, because of how it felt and realizing that, yes, this does work, and yes, I can actually show people how to transform their lives, and this is the first time it's happened. So I love that.
And I want to say too, this was one of my parting gifts from my corporate days. A friend of mine gave me this. It's Winston Churchill. This is paperweight. This thing is really heavy. Never, never, never quit. And I think that is one thing I've noticed about this industry, about this network marketing, direct sales or whatever. People do not focus in, dial in, plug in, and stay in long enough. And people ask me, well, Lynn, how long should I stay in? I'm like, as long as it takes. I mean, that's what I've been told by, my mentors in leadership and everybody else that has more success than me, that, just because I've made, X amount of dollars, why would I stop? I'm going to keep going because there's goals that I'm going to reach, and one of them, as we all know, I'm sure on this panel, is we are going to be seven-figure earners. I mean, the vision of Empower Network is very strong. It's very, the intention has been set, and David Wood has never wavered. Never. I mean, I can pull some old videos that I took back at these events when you weren't, I mean, they let us then, but you can't now, but of his intention and his passion and the same message. And I think somebody put on Facebook where there was one of him back in 2010, and he's really young and everything, and he said the same exact message. I mean, about, the passion for helping people, that everyone, is going to succeed, and that's the reason why he built Empower Network, to empower people. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And a big shout out to David Wood today. I believe it's his birthday today. So
yes.
We want to wish him a happy birthday. We're not sure if he'll be watching this, but we want to put that out anyway. So we hope he's having an amazing day. He's an incredible visionary. As Lynn mentioned, his message has never wavered. He's always been about the people, and it's not about the money for him. It's about the heart and soul of people and bringing people together to transform their lives. So we wish him a happy birthday today. And it's actually my partner John Paul's birthday and Chris's birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
Happy birthday to him as well.
Okay. Happy birthday, Chris.
Say happy birthday to John Paul for me. I was hoping we could hang out together today.
I know, right? He couldn't be with us today, but yeah, definitely. That's why I thought I'd mention it, so we can get it out there in the space, and lots of birthdays going on. So it's something kind of going on with May, and when people were born, you guys, there's something extraordinary about the people who were born around this time.
Well, I think mine's a week from today.
Ah, there you go.
No, another May.
But I don't like to say it because, I don't want to, get older.
Hey, I got a little story I want to add, that very recent story that kind of ties in with what Lynn was just talking about never quitting. So this past event in Nashville, I met somebody in person for the first time, and she really connected with my wife, Lori, and they got to talking quite a bit. And, so we've stayed in touch, and she texted me this weekend, and she's been in Empower since, I think she said, August of 2013, just made her first sale.
Oh, Delia.
This week. Delia,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
So you saw that. I mean, talking about never quitting, hanging in there this long and waiting almost 2 years for your first sale, I think that is tremendous. And because I think a lot had to do with going to the event, going to Nashville. So
Yeah.
that was an awesome story. And she
Yeah.
she said she was in tears that she finally
Yeah,
made it.
Delia's a gal that I have talked to. I've never met her in person, and I never realized that was, she hadn't made a sale until now. But you're right, Chris. It's like, you just don't quit because there's too much proof and evidence and everything else about this community and about the system and about, the company and everything else. It just works. It just works. All you have to do is make a commitment. Well, first you make a decision, then you make the commitment, and then you take the action.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep, definitely. And I always get asked that question as well, like how long do I need to do this for? And I actually learned this from Erica Udanu, one of our leaders within our community, and she would always say until. And I believe that's one of the most
until, darling.
Yes. That quite well, Lynn. Yeah, and as soon as I heard that one day from her, that's what I've been saying, and that's what I've been telling myself. That word is so powerful. You do it until. We cannot give you, a deadline, a date. We all set goals. That's great. We can set goals, 90-day plans and things like that. But, if we don't happen to reach those goals or we don't quite achieve it, we don't just quit. We keep going until. And I think that's where the real power is within this business, and all the hard work, we're not going to come in here and tell you this is easy. We'll be the first people to tell you that this is hard work. This is not, a stroll in the park, and we're not going to hold your hand and frolic through the field of flowers, as they would say. But if you are willing to work and if you are serious about changing your life, we are here for you. And, you are not alone. A lot of the time, in the online space, people feel very alone. And, within our community, I just love how much support we have. If somebody posts something on Facebook, they got their first sale or they got a certain amount of leads or something, everybody chimes in and gives that person support. It's just an amazing community to be a part of. So, and everything that leads up to that moment when you make your first sale and when you start building the income that you want to build and you start helping people really transform their life, all that other stuff that you went through, it's so worth it to feel in that moment what you've achieved and what you've been able to help others achieve. So, it's just a question of, as Lynn said, making the decision and actually taking action on it and committing to it and, being consistent. This is always a big one. I always preach this all the time, being consistent with what you're doing. So I think that's also a big one as well.
And can I mention, too, Alicia, that David Wood had a post just yesterday, I believe, about your core nature, because sharing your story is really, really important, and this is coming out more and more now, and not just amongst just Empower Network. This is the whole industry as a whole, and because of the way technology has gone, you can't meet people face-to-face. You meet them through an email or through Facebook or other social sites. You can meet them this way. However, if you don't tell your story, if you don't share your story, and this is one thing that I lacked at the very beginning. See, I wanted to hide my corporate days because I felt like it wasn't me anymore. I wanted to sever that, but then I found out, no, Lynn, you got to connect with other people that may be in corporate America right now, or may be at a midnight shift job or a 9 to 5, that want to change their life too, that have family, or even if you don't have family and you want a different lifestyle. Now we have a choice. That's what's so exciting about this, is we have a choice. But like David Wood says, your core nature, share that with people. Those are the people that are going to connect with you. And there's millions and billions of people on this planet, right? So the fortunate thing is Empower Network is worldwide. So you don't have to keep it just in California or just in the U.S. or anything like that. You can go to other countries. But anyway, I just wanted to add that in too.
Yeah, that's definitely an important aspect of the business, and the fact that we can build this globally and connect with people all over the world. 20 years ago that wasn't possible, so it's absolutely amazing what we can do now. And Sheena has joined us. How you doing, Sheena?
Hey, I'm good. Sorry, I'm a little late.
I like your new haircut there. Very
Oh,
nice.
thank you. Cost me like $10.
Oh. You don't have to say that. You can say it cost you $100.
Well, I mean, I was in Asia, so when you
That's it.
when you do the conversion, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, Sina's been traveling from Hawaii to Canada to Nashville to the Philippines, and now you're back in Canada?
Yeah, I'm back in Canada. Like, my jet lag has been so insane.
Wow, that's insane. I love it. So this is the luxury of the freedom lifestyle within our community. We can travel anywhere in the world and, you know, still build our business at the same time. So that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, Lynn, I wanted to ask you, how important is blogging within your online business?
Is that to me?
Yes.
Oh, so let me tell you that's another story that short story. Don't worry, I'm not gonna hog the mic here. But so when I developed my product, I heard through my LinkedIn groups that you got to have a blog. You got a blog now, right? So I'm like, what the heck is a blog? And this was, like I say, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And so I got a blog. I got a WordPress blog. I had to pay somebody to do some coding for me and all this kind of stuff. I didn't know how to set it up, nothing. And then Michelle Schaefer, our blogging diva in Empower, she came to me and she goes, Lynn, you want to be a part of a group that's going to be doing a 30-day blogging challenge? And I said, 30 days? I mean, Michelle, I don't even know what a blog. I haven't put anything on this blog. And she goes, this is good. This will be good for you. So I said, okay. And I remember the very first day sitting here in front of my computer going, what in the heck am I going to put on this, on this blog, right? Fortunately, that pushed me into it. I love challenges. So it pushed me into this challenge. After 30 days, I fell in love with blogging. Blogging is the best way to communicate and to share. And now, holy smokes, with Kalatu, it is so dang easy, and you don't need to know all this HTML or the coding or all this kind of stuff. Plus, for the fact when that Kalatu Premium comes out, I just wrote about this with the 10 blogs, and you can create like separate sales pages on just one blog, and then connect your blog to all these different pages, but you're keeping it within yourself. It's going to be just powerful. It's just going to be a powerful. It's a tool, but yet it's also your business. It's your storefront. So I consider blogging to be who you are. It's a representation of you, but also it's an inviter. It invites people in, and it invites people to look around like it's your store. So yeah, blogging, 100%, you got to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure everybody on the panel here would agree. And just on that, what do you think, Lynn, is the biggest misconception that people have in regards to blogging? I know a lot of people within the industry and regular people that don't really know what a blog is. Often they have some really strange misconceptions about what a blog is. So I just wanted to hear your feedback on what you think the biggest misconception is when it comes to blogging.
Okay, so for this industry, and I'm sorry I keep going back to this, but I've been focusing heavily on this industry because, like I said, I feel like everything that we do now is contributing towards building this industry to be the best that it can be. But blogging, I think the misconception out there is people think that if you get a blog and it's on the internet, that all of a sudden people are just going to see you and you're going to get money coming into your account. They don't understand the connection of, what you need to do in between in order to make that blog your storefront, and in order for people to understand that you're adding content, you're adding graphics, you're adding clickable links, you're adding, all these different features. It's not difficult to do. In fact, it's very simple with Kalatu. But once you do that and you learn how to syndicate, which means share that content out to the internet, you've got a powerful resource where you can get leads on a daily basis. So I think the misconception is people think they set it up and then they just sit back and think that it's going to do its, work on its own, and that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because for me, I believe that's the biggest misconception as well, and what I love about blogging more than anything is, which a lot of people don't realize, is that once we create that content and we syndicate it out, it's out in space forever, for as long as you're within that business or the community or whatever it is that you're promoting, products and services. It's out there forever. It's working for you 24/7. So you can literally have people checking out your blog, your products and services, and your content while you're sleeping, and possibly even making money from that. So it's so powerful, and I think a lot of people don't realize that that's the case, and they think of a blog as, I have to write essays, and what am I going to blog about? And within our community, we can help you with that, especially with Kalatu. It's just, so simple to use, and we give you all the education to help you actually learn how to syndicate and what to actually blog about. So, I don't know, Sheena and Chris, what were your thoughts on that?
I'll let Chris go first.
Oh, I think you're muted. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think I had my mic muted there for a minute. Yeah, so blogging's a big part of, and like Lynn said, it's a great way for people to, it's like your storefront, but it's also a great way for people to get to know you. Besides social media, because it's your own site, you can control what's on there. You can post videos, you can put photos, text, whatever on there, and people can get to know you. And, I've seen a lot of people that, and I'm sure all of you have experienced this, people may follow you for a while before they decide to join your business with you. So I've had quite a few people that have been on my list for a while, and they'll follow your blog post, they'll follow you on social media, and till the point where they get comfortable with you maybe, or they realize that, hey, this guy's really for real, it's not just a scam. He's producing real valuable content on their blog, so it's a great way to get value out there. I know all of us on the panel, I've read every single one of your blogs at one time or another. Everybody here is producing value, they're producing content that's going to be of value to people. So certain people are going to connect with you depending on what your content is. So blogging's a really, it's a great way to reconnect with your list. So if you have a list, I know I do, I think probably everybody else here does, I share it on different social media channels, but I also email it to my list. So it gives you an opportunity for them to come back and connect with your content and hopefully learn something. I know I've learned something from everybody here on at least one blog post, if not a lot of them, because of the value everybody's producing on their blogs. So it's a great medium, and it's out there. Somebody said this analogy, I forget who it was, so it'd be like having a billboard that nobody can ever take down. Mm-hmm. It's up there forever. As long as your blog is up, that billboard is out there. You could have a blog that's 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and that content's still going to be out there on the internet. Mm-hmm. So it's a great medium to use. I think it should be a part of any business, whether you're traditional bricks and mortar or your internet marketing or network marketing. I think every business should have a blog. It's a great way to connect with people.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a lot of people sometimes don't even realize that they're looking at blogs. They think it's just a website. I mean, things like the Huffington Post and New York Times, they're WordPress blogs. And people don't even realize that that's what they're looking at. So there are a lot of misconceptions about blogging, and we hope today, well, we know today that we're going to help you see that it's a very, very valuable, a platform that you literally need for your business. And if you don't have a home online, as we say, you're homeless. That's really something that every single business needs. And with Kalatu, we can customize that to any business that you have, which I think is really, really awesome. And Sheena, what are your thoughts on that?
On having a blog in general, or?
Yeah, well, what about for you? What do you think the biggest misconception is with blogging?
I think people think that they can blog for profit on a free blogging platform. That's, they're like, why can't I just set up a free one? And, a lot of people are like thinking they don't need to pay to have a blog. They don't realize, having a free blog will actually cost them more in the long run than to just buy one of our viral blogging platforms. I mean, I think Lawrence Tam was telling me there was a lady who used a free blogging platform to blog about her business, her network marketing business. She did it for about a whole year, right, on this free blogging platform. And I don't remember which one it was. I just know it was free, but they found out that she was trying to sell something, right? And because they found out, they took her blog down. So a year's work down the drain, right? And I tell people this, even though I'm Asian, I tell people like don't let your cheapness get in the way of your success because for something as little as $25 a month, I mean it's like that's like 2 tickets to the movies, right? You're investing in yourself, you're investing in your empire, you're investing in real estate content on the internet, right? I mean, even if you were to have actual, if you were to invest in actual real estate, you still need money up front to invest in it. A blog's the same thing. You need money to invest in it. And some of these blogs can cost thousands with all the plugins and all the traffic that goes through, because even with a free blog, I think there's only like limited traffic that can go through for free, and then after that you still got to pay. People don't see the hidden costs after having a free blog, right? It's kind of like having a job, right? People think it's easy to go to a job, but they don't see all the hidden costs. You got to pay for transportation, you got to pay for clothes, you got to pay for lunch. Like most of your paycheck goes towards your job. I mean, when I used to work, I would buy clothes all the time to go to work. I would buy food. Everything became my job, right? And really, we're supposed to be working so we can provide a living instead of providing stuff for our own job. It's the same. I think it's the same concept, right? Like when you have a free blogging system, you're gonna run into all these costs, and it's gonna end up costing you so much more than you realize. Not only financially, but all the time you invested, and all the heartache, the frustration. Because there's days where we get a little bit frustrated, right? I mean, it's normal, right? But the good thing about Kalatu is, even though we have that frustration, they have those awesome plugins like, give me an idea, give me a headline. Let's use the 21-day challenge template, right? We have ideas, and then we have a great community that gives us even more ideas. I mean, I love Lynn's blogs. There's always something I learn from her, right? It's just she has like the most awesome stuff, right? And we learn from each other. We don't compete with each other. We all support each other, and you need a community where you can support each other. Especially in this industry, it can be very catty at times, right? And you need to go to a group where you feel safe. You know that no one's going to bring you down. They're there to lift you up. And that's really important, because who you surround yourself with reflects on you as well. So I know I probably went a little bit off topic, but for me, having a free, people think having a free blogging system will work for them to make money, and they don't realize it doesn't work that way, because having a free blog, actually, they don't allow you to sell anything. They only actually allow you to advertise like their own stuff, and even then, that's not even easy to enter. They still have all these restrictions that you have to go through. Mm-hmm. So this is why having a platform like Kalatu is great, because we don't have to worry about that for a small amount every single month. We don't have to worry about hosting it. We don't have to worry about updates. We don't have to worry about which plugin works with what, because everything's tested for you. And I've had a self-hosted blog, and it's a pain in the ass. I mean, trying just to upload a WordPress update, it can like screw up your whole blog. You can lose a lot of all your stuff. You might buy a plugin for here and there, and then they don't work together because of something, and it just gets really frustrating at times. You're just like, you're spending more time trying to fix your blog than doing income-producing activities like sharing it out, providing value to people, and sharing it with your list, or coming up with more topics for the week to talk about to give more value out to the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome, Sheena. You brought up some amazing points, and the whole thing with free, I think that it's a mindset more than everything. If people think that they're going to start building an online business for free, I mean, I don't even know where that mindset comes from, because a lot of people don't realize that now they are a business owner. I know, Lynn, you were talking about the transition for that with you, which I'm really glad that you touched upon, because this is not a hobby. You're actually a business owner. You now own your own online business, and you cannot expect to be able to run that business for free or get access to all the products and information for free, because, for one, that's the wrong mindset to have, and you're ultimately not going to make any profits yourself if you want everything for free, because then everybody will want everything for free. So it's the wrong mindset all around. You need to realize that you need to invest into your education and your personal development. And just on that, Lynn, just out of curiosity, who are the people that you model within the industry? Who are the mentors, the people that you look up to?
I had run into Anna Z.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Chicago in April 2000. Holy cow, 2013. And we had just talked, and so then, but I like the way she's very direct. And some people, they take that differently, but I need directness instead of beat around the bush, or, oh, that's okay, Lynn, that's not me, right? So anyway, she said, here's my email address. If you have questions, just contact me. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know Alex at all or anything at that point. And when I came home and then I was having some problems and things like that, I reached out to her. And I still have the message that she sent me on Facebook that basically told me to, get off your frickin' butt. I mean, she laid it on the line. And she said, Lynn, if you do not work on your personal development, this is not going to work for you. You might as well go back to corporate America. And I mean, sometimes you have to be that blunt with some people, because when you're making that transition, it is tough. It is tough to actually cross that line and get into a different mindset, a different shift, if you will. So you have to be open and willing to learn from these people that are having the success before you. So after Anna, then I met Alex. And so Alex has been a tremendous help for me. But of course, my sponsor is John Rose. And, I reach out to him, not a lot. He's the behind-the-scenes kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he has taught me a lot about automation and things like that. He's the one that taught me more about scaling up your business. And these are things that you transition in. Because people would say that to me, scale up your business. I'm like, I don't know what the heck they're talking about, But you start learning these things as you go to the events, as you go to these, these hangouts, these webcasts, and you start, like you say, Alicia, you start modeling after, certain people that have the success that, you want. And the reason why I kept following Alex was because of his traffic, mindset. And then also, I'm just a big, huge fan of David Wood. I mean, if the man goes somewhere else, I'm with him. So at any rate, I mean, and then of course all the other leaders that we have inside now. But I mean, I look up to Sheena. I look up to you, Alicia, and Chris. Some of the stuff that I've been learning from you and your wife is just tremendous. This community is unbelievable. The amount of leadership we have, and everybody's at different levels. But that's okay, because we all give each other. It's this back and forth of helping each other to come up with ideas, or to say, Lynn, you need to look into, building up on that focus, or whatever it is, right? We kind of help each other in that direction. So I just love this community. It's the best community I've ever been a part of.
Wow, that's awesome. And yeah, I love what you shared, because it's so important to have, a support network, and a lot of people come into this industry and they don't want to reach out for support. They don't want to, contact their sponsor. They just want to do it all on their own. And, we're not saying that we're going to hold your hand through everything. There's a big difference. If you're willing to work and you're willing to do whatever it takes, we are all here to help you. And there will be certain leaders within the community that you will resonate with more than others. Like what Lynn was just explaining, there's some people that like the direct, and I'm also very, very similar with that. For me, Tracy Walker is one of my leaders within the community that I really resonate with because of how direct she is, and I'm kind of similar like that. So, you know, there's a ton, but you really have to focus in probably on maybe 2 or 3, you know, people. They don't even have to be within the community that you're in. They could be, you know, leaders within personal development or some other area. You want to really hone in on what they are doing and model that. You don't want to copy it, but you want to model so that you can gain the success that they had. I think that's really a key point. So I'm glad that you shared that, Lynn. There's just a ton of value that you're sharing with us today, and you know, I just love the background that you've come from, like where you've come from with your corporate lifestyle, and you know, the fact that, you know, it's funny because sometimes people really have to hit rock bottom before they go, okay, enough's enough. And clearly that happened with you with what your son said that day. You realized something has to change. And what do you think, what are some of the things that you and your family can do right now that you couldn't do before, now that you have the freedom to live the lifestyle that you can actually enjoy, that you couldn't do before? What are some of those things that you can think of?
Well, when I started with Empower, the one thing was time freedom, and our son had just went to college, and he was playing baseball and all that kind of thing. So at the drop of a pin, my husband and I, we would go down to LA and, you know, watch him play ball and things like that. Plus, for the fact, you know, I was going over all the trips that we made, in addition to the Empower Network, you know, events. And we've traveled, 20 to 20 different locations over the last 28 months. We have never done that before because we've never, you know, I always would have to give notice of when, you know, I wanted to take a week's vacation or 2 weeks vacation, and then, you know, if it ran into somebody else's vacation, then you had to, you know, adjust and all this kind of thing, and you had to make sure that it was going to be a paid or not, you know, and have enough money for that and that kind of thing. So I'm telling you, it's the time freedom that, you know, that I have now, and my goal is to retire my husband, because he's a tile contractor right now. He, you know, he loves what he does, and he does really good work, and he's well known in our town here. But he's getting older, and just like with any even self-employed people, they don't necessarily have the time freedom. You know, when there's work, he has to work. You know what I mean? So to retire him, and we've already made plans where we want to, you know, buy a condo at the ocean, buy one in the mountains. And then and then probably one, you know, like back east somewhere, and then just travel. Just keep traveling and traveling and traveling, because this business, you pick up your laptop and you go and you just plug into any internet source, or you use your phone. I mean, this thing is just incredible. It's just incredible what you can do on this little thing now, you know. I'm almost up to 10,000 followers on Twitter because of this little phone. So it's one of those things that just gives you this more freedom, and you're making money along the way. So we're building our wealth account, we're building savings, we're paying off debt. So those are the things that, you know, come along with working, and this is the reward that, you know, that you get, and you learn all this stuff as you move along inside this community. Somebody was talking the other day, you know, when you become a, you know, 6-figure earner, 7-figure earner, all this kind of thing. Well, you know, when you make the money, a lot of people don't know what to do with that money once they have it. Okay, so that's why lottery winners, when they get, you know, the big, you know, win, they're broke, or they're bankrupt within a year or 2 years or 3 years, because they don't understand money and how you can have money work for you by doing different things. So at the beginning, of course, you need the money to put back into your business. But then as you're making profits, you've got to start taking those profits and putting them towards things. And I learned through, different books that I've been reading about setting up a wealth account, setting up a debt, I'm paying off my debts account type deal. And you do this just like you would be setting up goals for your business. You're setting up goals for your money, and now your money's going to be working for you. And I know I've got some, some lending background and all this kind of stuff, been in it for a long time, but it really is true that people don't know what to do with the money once they make it. So that's another thing that you learn within this community, and I think it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I love about the education inside this community. Typically speaking, we're not a traditional network marketing company where we're selling a tangible product. And God forbid that company closes its doors. Traditional network marketers, a lot of them don't know what to do because they don't have that product to sell anymore. So they have to move on to the next thing to sell. Within Empower, the education is what we are providing to people. And that skill set that we learn within our community can be taken into any area of business in any part of our lives, and it's always with us, and no one can ever take that away from us. We know our network isn't going anywhere ever, we know that, but we do have a skill set that we can actually incorporate into any area of our lives, and that's what I really love.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful. And you really have to want to learn how to learn. I mean, if you're a person that comes into this community and you're not willing to learn anything and you're expecting to make money, you may as well not get started, because you have to come in, like myself, when I came into the community, I don't have a sales marketing background. I've been a professional dancer my whole life, and I didn't know anything about this stuff, and I was fascinated. I just dove into the information. Like, I was truly fascinated with what I was learning. I've always loved personal development, but I'd never really honed into it. And marketing, I was just like, wow, this education is unbelievable. So you've really got to want to learn how to learn, so to speak, and really love what you're getting involved in and the community of people. That's what it's really about. And when I first got started, I was just completely mind blown with the types of people that were inside this community. So I really think that's an important aspect of it as well. I did want to ask you another question, Lynn. What has been the biggest challenge that you've found so far in building your online business? What's been one of the most difficult things, and how did you overcome that at the time?
Like I said, I was surprised that I made my first sale when I did at that event. And but afterward, even after the 6 weeks with my first, $3,000 day, it was getting tougher to understand how to drive more traffic, towards my blog and towards capture pages and things like that. Didn't really understand it. And fortunately, they came out in 2013 with the new 15K formula then. So I was a part of that, and I'm sure maybe you guys were too, where we were live while we were making it. I mean, it was a webcast, live webcast. And there was a 6-hour training from Shakir on solo ads. And I decided right then and there, I said, I am going to learn solo ads, and I'm going to do solo ads until I get it and it works for me. So I think the biggest challenge is was to focus in on one marketing stream or one marketing strategy and just stick with it until it worked. And I see other people struggling in that as well. I've got team members that think that they'll tell me, Lynn, I'm on Facebook, so I'll get on Twitter and I'll get on LinkedIn and I'll get, I'm like, no. Let's just focus in, let's focus in on your blog first and Facebook. Let's, don't think that you've got to spin your wheels, because what you want to do is you want to think sales, income producing. Start thinking about that right away, because the other will come once you start learning. But every day do something that's income producing. So marketing is huge, and getting traffic. So if you think about one marketing strategy and, as they say, master it. And I pretty much have mastered solo ads. I love solo ads. I do a co-op for my team and that kind of thing. So, master that. Now I'm on to Facebook ads. Now I'm learning more, about Facebook ads. And it's all self-taught, but we have a community of people that are just I mean, they're unbelievable with the knowledge and the amount of information that they give to us. Whereas if you go out of this community and you try to do this alone, you're going to go from guru to guru to guru, and they're going to say, okay, buy this tool. You buy the tool for $67, and you go, okay, now what do I do with it? Well, you got to go to this webinar, and they'll just give you just enough information because guess what? You got to buy a membership now because you need this and that. And it's like, holy cow. But this community, people are so forthright when it comes to sharing information, especially when it comes to sharing success. What is successful for you? Now, I'm not saying just because solo ads works for me that it's going to work for everybody, but just to focus in on a strategy, get it to work for you, and then move on to the next one. Mm-hmm. That's my suggestion anyway.
Yeah, I think that's massive because a lot of the time, you know, there's so much noise out there online and we can get so overwhelmed. I mean, I've been there, you know, I think I'm still there sometimes, and you know, I'm such a good multitasker, and when I started this business I realized that actual quality did not serve me at all. I thought this is going to be great, I can do all these things at once, and you know, it took me a little while to realize that that's not how this works. I need to focus on one thing at the one time, you know, switch the Facebook off if I need to, get off the Skype, get off the email, you know, because before you know it, you're into all that stuff and then nothing's been done. No income producing activity has actually happened. All you've been doing is refreshing Facebook. Facebook is amazing, especially when it comes to our business and advertising. But it can be the biggest time sucker in the world if you let it. You get sucked into the Facebook world, and before you know it, a few hours have gone by and you never wrote that email or you never posted that blog, you know, and time's run out. So I think that's a really important point that you brought up. Chris, have you got any thoughts about that? Like, what are the types of things that you focus on?
Yeah, actually, Alicia, that's something I learned pretty early on was master one technique before and stop trying to do multiple things. And I think along the way I've forgotten that and had to kind of bring myself back, say, all right, before I do that, all right, that's a good idea, but master this one thing first and get it down before you go. Maybe that once I master it, then you can go work on learning that other technique. But kind of put it on the back burner for the time being. Sometimes it's hard to do. You know, you see a lot of stuff out in the industry. These things come up. Well, this is a great technique, and you need to stay focused on. You know, set a goal that you're going to master this one technique and master it before you move on to something else. Sometimes it's hard to do, but it's definitely something you need to do in this business.
Yeah, definitely. It's very difficult, and we have to constantly catch ourselves, you know, each time that we, you know, shiny ball syndrome, as they call it. You know, there's always the next biggest thing that's coming out. But if you stay the course on what you're doing and actually master it, it's always the key. So many people want to skip the grind phase in this business, you know, and they want to move to the level of, you know, the leader that they're modeling. And they don't realize that that leader also went through the grind phase. You know, they fought through for a very long time to get to where they are. And we just have to be willing to accept that and go through the phases so that we can actually learn to master that particular technique as well. And Sheena, I know that I look at a lot of your things, and you've got a lot going on. Like, you seem to have mastered a lot of different strategies, especially when it comes to social media. You're like all over the place with everything. Awesome.
I don't know if I've mastered it. I've dabbled into some of them, but I mean, focusing on one thing is probably the best thing to do. I mean, you know, sometimes we think we know everything. We're like, oh, don't worry, we know everything. But people forget that, you know, where you are is like the result of your best thinking, right? So if you're still stuck at your $8 job, an hour job, or you're still stuck in your little cubicle office, or you're not making the $30,000 a month income that you're making, it's because of your best thinking. You know, I'm guilty of being very stubborn. You know, like sometimes I think, oh, what I'm doing is right, but you know, it's not. So sometimes you just gotta let the ego go and just say, you know what, I'm just going to listen to what they say. They have the proof. They say stick to one thing until you can get it right. Stick to that one thing. You know, they say maybe one or two things, maybe like a free source and a paid source, just so there's something you can master, and then once you're done, you can scale up and then do another strategy and then another one. Because it can get really noisy out there, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff over the years, and it can get really crazy. And sometimes you gotta just put the blinders on and just focus on what you need to do, right? It's always about producing income-producing activities and learning how to give value, be a go-giver to your industry, right? And I think another mistake is people think they just need to market to everybody, when really they just need to market to the people they want to market, right? Their target market. You know, if it's network marketers, it's network marketers. If it's the health and wellness people, health and wellness. If you just want to, you know, target women, then target women, right? I mean, everything else will fall into place. And I think another thing I might start doing is probably meditating. I found some nice videos on YouTube, some guided meditation, you know, like 15 minutes a day is not going to kill everybody, and it might give, you know, a lot of people who were doing well, you know, they said meditation has helped them become more clear, have more clarity, and be able to do the things that they're supposed to. So if it works for them, it can work for me, it can work for anyone in the panel, it can work for whoever's watching. And, you know, like they say, whatever's possible for them is possible for you.
Yeah, I've actually never tried meditation. It's the one thing I've...
yeah, I'm the same.
I would like to. I've always been open to it, but I've never actually taken the action to step into it. So
we're in the same boat, Alicia, which is why now I'm going to dabble into it. I mean, even if it's 15 minutes a day, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they need to realize that you got to work on yourself more than the actual strategy. Like, you got to learn to believe in yourself, because we all have certain blocks, right, that stop us from what we're doing, and really our own enemies ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. You know, mindset is everything, and anything that we do, especially within this business, it really is everything. And, you know, my mind is constantly racing 1,000 miles an hour, so I think the meditation thing would actually really help me to kind of calm down with that. Because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll go to sleep at night and I'm dreaming about Facebook advertising and emails and, you know, all of this stuff online. It's going through my subconscious mind because it never switches off, and I've got that going on in my head constantly. So, you know, I think the meditation would really help with that, actually. So that's a good suggestion, Sheena.
Thanks. Okay, we'll both be newbies on it, so don't worry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. Sounds like a good idea. Well, we really want to thank you, Lynn, for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. And, I mean, you've just dropped some amazing value with us today. You know, I love your story. It's really inspirational. And, you know, we love the work that you produce and, you know, the leader that you're becoming in our community. And, you know, we're just really fortunate to have you with us today. And, you know, before we close, if there was one thing that you could say to the person that's watching this right now, that one person who's thinking about hitting that join button below the video, but they're just not over the fence yet, they're just a little bit afraid to click that button, what would you say to that person right now?
You know, I would probably say to them, meditate. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, it gets to the point where you really have to set yourself, put yourself in a corner, be all alone, close the doors, turn off the computer, turn off your phone, and really think about where are you at today and where do you really want to be tomorrow. I mean, seriously think about that. And don't worry about how you're going to get there. Just think about where you're at today. If you're happy where you're at today, that is awesome. That's where you want to be, right? But if you're a person that's saying, man, this community, these people, you know, you're making connections with Alicia or Chris or Sheena or I, go for it. Because this is just a small example of what this community provides. So if you're sitting there thinking, Should I try it? No, you don't try it. We don't want toe dippers, okay? You want to just jump in, because you've got to have that, you've got to have at least that self-confidence that, you know what, now is the time to change. And if you make that decision, just do it. Just go ahead and do it. Turn off everything else, especially the next day, because that's when everybody, it always seems like, you know, they join and then the next day they're like, ugh, you know, you have to maintain whatever it was that you have to remember, what was it that got me to click that button in the first place, right? That's what I always look back at. That's why I can always remember my son in that back seat. I always will. I mean, it's always something that's in me, and this is what's pushed me to where I'm at today, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But Alicia, you know, I really appreciate you, and I'm full gratitude, you know, for you reaching out to me and connecting like you did. I really do appreciate it. This was awesome. Love you, Sheena, and Chris. You know, I'm going to meet you in Vegas as well, and I really do appreciate this. It really meant a lot. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. Enjoyed having you on our panel today, and you know, Sheena and Chris, I'm sure you'll agree with me that Lynn is an amazing leader within our industry, and you know, you're really inspiring to us all and to all of our viewers today. And you know, as Lynn said, if there's you know, if you're looking at the join link right now and you're not happy with where you are in your life right now, it's time to hit that button and take action and get started. I mean, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And, you know, we don't get back today, we don't get back yesterday, all we have is tomorrow. And, you know, it's time to hit that button below. And, you know, we want to thank you all for coming out. We'll be here the same time, same place next week. And we look forward to seeing you all then. Hit that button below, and we'll see you on the inside.